Well, guys, it's alibi time. Some of the videos that I've done recently seem to have generated more questions and comments than the videos themselves answered. No more so than these guys. These are the Viper screws from Multipick. They were part of this core extractor that I haven't mailed out yet, but this gives us a chance to try some stuff out and answer those questions before I mail it. And the questions about these were, why did you pre-drill a hole? And while, like you guys, I noticed that these screws were self-tapping, it simply didn't occur to me to try to drive this into the core. I figured it would expand the core, pinch it in place, so it would make it much more difficult to extract. But to answer your question, I went ahead and sent an email to Multipick asking the question, and they said, yes, that's what we intended, Bill. So inside of each of the bags, and I didn't realize this until they told me in the email, inside of each of the bags is one of these bits, and it's designed to be put into a screw gun, and without pre-drilling a core, you run these into the core and then use the core extractor. So let's find out if it works. All right, next question was, does this work with a Medeco? So let's find out. I don't have the key for this guy. So, there we are. It does work on a Medeco. Let me turn this so you can see. There's one of the pins that just fell out. It was completely pinned up. And there was a sidebar too, if I think I saw it there. It fell out. And, man, it just ripped it right out of there. So yeah, it does work on a Medeco. All right, on this one I'm going to give you a twofer because one question was, does it work on multi-locks? And I question that because the pins on multi-locks are made out of steel and they're about twice the normal diameter. Now they're only 5 pins, but they're also pin and pin, so extra tough. The advantage of the multi-lock though is that it's a wider keyway. So let me clamp this down. So we can use a 5.5, the slightly thicker extraction screw. So the second part of the question also was, can you use a slam hammer with these Vipers? And we're going to find that out right now. I would say no. We did break the tailpiece off. And we also did not break that screw. It's just an exceptionally tough lock, that's all. Woo, baby. Man, I really had that thing clamped in there too. It started to come. You can see the core starting to move a little bit there. But just not quite enough, I don't think. If this was in a door, I think it probably would break the door off the hinges. All right, I hope that answers most of the questions about the Viper screws. I mean, this thing obviously worked. We did not have to pre-drill a hole, and it pulled out that one. It also works really well on Medecos, even with a sidebar, everything in place, so pulled that right out. The one it didn't seem to work so well on, at least it didn't pull the core on a multi-lock because the pins in here are so much thicker. They're made out of steel. So a lot tougher, and I noticed when you drive the screw in, it pushes those pins up to block that shear line. So yeah, really, really tough lock. The important thing is I banged the heck out of this with a huge dent puller, and it did not break or damage the screw. So I think with a normal lock, yeah, you could definitely use a slam hammer with these with no problem whatsoever. All right, on to phase 2. This little lock came up. This was a street find, if you guys recall, and I picked it online on camera and then started to gut it, and I managed to loosen the screw a little bit, and I could not figure out how to get the core out of it. Thanks to Luna Boston Moon sent me the 200-page manual, actually 204-page manual that goes along with the Schlage lock. It's a service manual. On page 204, it tells you the secret about how to get this out of there. In this one, there's supposed to be a small clip inside of there. So in order to get the screw out, you have to manipulate the shackle so this dent lines up with kind of like that. And then the locking bolt will then push back to allow you to remove the screw. There was supposed to be a little clip inside of there, but I think it was probably mild steel. It was completely rusted away. The back of that little screw goes into the back of this adapter, solid steel, and I think this is probably stainless. And you'll notice it's split right there. So when this little screw goes into the back of that, it causes it to spread inside of the body of the lock, which pinches it in place. So when you're trying to extract it, you're fighting the screw and you're fighting this thing. I mean, very, very, let me put it on there and show you. It's very, very tight. In fact, I'm not even going to push it all the way in because I probably won't be able to get it. I have to use a hammer to drive this thing the rest of the way in there. So very, very tight, and that's before I put the screw on it. Anyway, you guys were a little... I'm going to have to get some pliers now. You guys were upset I didn't gut it, so let's go ahead and gut it so I can get that checked off. All right, other than this really smelly black fluid, I really do hope that's water. Inside of this lock, there's really no surprise in here. All standard pins, both the key pins and the driver pins, they're all obviously done by a locksmith. And a lot of you guys suggested this was a commercial lock that had fallen off a truck. And I tend to agree with you because notice here we have 3 master wafers telling me this was a master keyed lock at one point. Other than, the secret, and thank you, Luna Boston, about how to extract this core, it was really beyond my level of intelligence. Anyway, appreciate you sending in all of those instructions and for us to take a look at, get this thing apart. And guys, I really do appreciate your questions. I'll try to answer as many of them as I can. Anyway, appreciate your time, guys. Stay safe, stay legal.